Welcome to Uncommon Courtesy.
We give you the courtesy of conversation
That's uncommonly spoke of.
I'm D-Mac,
I'm Wesley.
and this is the show. We beat Medicaid.
Yeah, man. You back on this one right here. It's been about 2 days now, day and a half, whatever now. So we kind of getting to a point to where we can have the conversation, and I don't feel so messed up about it. But like I said, the more I look back on the whole, we're talking about the presidential debate. Obviously, if anybody is not understanding what he's trying to
yes, I was
do
talking
with the
about
stuttering right there.
The current president, I guess.
Yeah, the current president. It was like I said, he had a bad debate, and it's not even just a bad debate. It was even worse than a bad debate. It was like more.
We're not talking Michael Jackson bad. No, we're talking like you got to a theme park and your pants ripped bad.
Yeah,
we're talking you went to the movies after the buffet and you got diarrhea bad.
It was a lob over. It was an easy lob over the plate. He could have knocked that out the park. Easily beat Trump. He didn't even have to. In my eyes, he didn't even have to resoundingly beat him. Just be coherent. Your policies have done great in my eyes. Again, for what I know and for what I see just in world issues and kind of what's going on around the world, you're doing a very good job.
He wasn't even coherent enough to press Trump on his lies. That's the bad part about it. He could have been like, yo, answer the question. Trump didn't answer nary question. They were like, Trump, what do you think about childcare? He's like, let me tell you about the border. The border is secure. The way we're going to do it. I'm like, bruh, he didn't answer a single, he had maybe like one or two questions. And then, black jobs, that's another thing everyone's on. I know what they mean by black jobs. Like,
tell me what you think they mean by black jobs.
They're taking the black jobs, picking fruit.
Is that a black job?
That's what they expect when you're out there picking shit.
You know what I mean? And in all honesty, it's a fact. That's what they're talking about, because this is a blatant lie that they keep on pushing about immigrants are taking your jobs. This has been going on for hundreds of years. First, it was us. There's other immigrants too that would come along. They had Italians who would come across. They tell people that. Then they have black people. You don't want those black slaves who are now no longer slaves to come in and take your job. This has been a consistent.
What's crazy? They're like, immigrants are taking your job. No, machines are taking your job.
AI is taking your job.
Walmart's about to go to 85% automated.
They said
85%.
50%. They want 50% of their phones by 2030 to be made by AI. You know what I'm saying? By AI robots by 2030. That's pretty quick. I know that we don't make a lot of the phones here in this country, so that looks like, but that's a trickle effect. Those jobs are going to go to somebody. So somebody's going to outsource their jobs over there to give them something else to do, which is probably something that you're going to
think about. That 85% of the Walmart stores will be automated. They already have the self-checkout. They got one person at the register these days. They won't need anybody else. They're going to be able to dictate. They're going to have software to know who's stealing and who's not.
Didn't they say they want to manage by too? Isn't that one of their stores managed by AI? Is that true?
I think it's just they want 85% of the whole store automated. So basically AI robots. Fast food. Them jobs are going to robots.
Yep.
All this. You're worried about. Forget the immigrants and the people coming in. They're not going to have no work either. You know what I'm saying?
I think we worry too much about immigrants, man. Like, what job has an immigrant ever taken from you? Let's name one. I don't know anybody who's ever like, man, this immigrant just took my job.
Landscaping. Actually, it all started with landscaping. That's what it was. So when Obama got in the office and we had that first recession, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of people lost their jobs. A lot of people had stupid jobs. It's like, hey, a lot of people had jobs where like somebody would make like a box or whatever, and your job was to put a sticker on it. And a lot of those people were like, oh, you had stupid jobs. Let's keep it real.
That were going to be taken anyways by AI.
Yes, exactly. So what people did, they were like, hey, what job can pay more? They were like, hey, let's do landscaping. But as people started to go around, European Americans, the people were like, no, I got, not to be racist, I got Jorge over here that does it. And that's what it was.
How many people who are like, what do you call them again? Legacy Americans or whatever you want to call them, whether they're white, black, or whatever, we're doing landscaping.
They weren't. That's what I'm saying. But they're looking for jobs that they could do that were easy and they're manual jobs. And it all came down to landscaping. That's the whole reason.
The manufacturing base being wiped out was the biggest hurt to this country. More hurt.
But that's like more of the 60s, 50s.
60s, 70s, 80s.
I'm talking like 90s. 2010, 2012. That's when those people they wanted. That's why they're immigrants. It's all about landscaping. That's all it is.
Listen, if we're in a huge recession, they're not going to want a landscaping job because there's not going to be as many landscape. There's not like if you're in a recession, there's not like there's a vast amount of rich people out there. I get my yard landscaped. And so
do you?
Yes, I do.
Amazing.
So I mean,
a lot of people do. And a lot of people pay good money to get their yards landscaped.
But what I'm saying is, so that's not. But what happened in a recession? Those people who are normally getting their yard landscaped are probably not going to get their yard landscaped. They don't have a job probably, or they've lost wages, or whatever the case may have been.
I'm just saying that was the cause of it. You can go back to it because a lot of people were like, "Yo," because they thought, "Yeah, I could go here and do this yard, do this," but they saw those jobs were already taken, so they're like, "Dang." And a lot of people, white Americans feel like that's whatever is in this country is theirs. So, they're stealing our jobs because ain't nobody going out there picking strawberries. Ain't nobody care about picking grapes.
What I would say is that he's definitely got away with just basically being able to lie, saying stuff like with the anti-abortion law, basically like, "Oh, well, you guys just take babies out the womb," and
he's like, "You kill them after they're born." I'm like,
I've never heard of that my entire life.
I've heard of late term abortions. I've known, like, if the baby is going to die anyways, or there's something medically wrong, they do that. But I've also known of girl that actually had an abortion when she was like 7 months pregnant. A guy was like, he's like, this girl asked me to give her a ride to Seattle. She wanted to have an abortion. I was like, 7 months? You might as well just have the baby. Like, the hell's wrong with you? That's monstrous stuff. I understand that. I don't believe in late term abortions unless it's medically necessary.
I didn't never even know anybody who's gotten an abortion.
I knew one person that got a late term.
They're allowed to give you an abortion. I didn't even.
There's a doctor. There was a doctor in Seattle that would do it.
I mean, but even still.
But that baby's kicking. You can give that baby a name. You can talk to that baby. That's a child.
Not like 7 months, man. You're a preemie.
7 months, you're a preemie, but you can still have that baby.
Like this big.
But that's still a baby.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to justify what happened, because it's not my place to justify whether or not what a person should do with their life. It's just not. I'm an American, so first and foremost, what really gets me is when you're in a room full of people and someone else is telling them you need to do this, but then they tell you that they love freedom, that they love the Constitution.
Well, the whole thing is, everyone else needs to get their house fixed before they come looking at us like what we need to be fixing. Because you saw how when they talked about the opioid crisis, they just skimmed over that. They talked nothing about it. They asked them about the opioid crisis, which is affecting European Americans the most, and they just skimmed over. They didn't even talk about it. They talked about other stuff. So I mean, a lot of the stuff during the debate didn't get talked about because Donald Trump was trying to just defend. He's trying to make Joe Biden look bad, and Joe Biden's making himself look bad.
Made himself look horrible, man.
Yeah,
it was.
While Trump lied through the whole thing.
He didn't have to do anything to Joe Biden. You know what I mean? At all. Joe Biden did this to himself. He looked horrible.
The only time they used energy when they started talking about golf. That's what everyone was saying. Like, they was all both just. They were like, "What? I'm a -6. No, you're 8. He's like, carry your own bag." I was like, oh, there's the energy we're looking for.
And so like I said, man, it was a horrible debate. But at the end of the day, me knowing what I know and what I believe, I would never vote for Trump because I believe that he's going to lead us down a path. We don't see the path. But there's things already brewing behind the scenes.
We already seen it. Like, it's crazy. Like, Obama had a bad one when he was going against Mitt Romney. And we were talking about this off camera, right? And you don't remember that. His hair was gray, but it was his anniversary. So he's trying to get through the speech. Michelle over there looking at him like, for real, go back and watch it. If you have time, go back and watch it. She was sitting there like, I'm about to tear your ass up.
So why do you think he had a bad debate? What did he do that was bad? I watched
Obama?
Debates. I remember when
he didn't have the energy. He didn't have the pizzazz. He wasn't, Mitt Romney's trying to attack him, and then Obama finally stopped. He's like, you just talking. He's like, I've done this. I'm the president right now. He's like, I'm making this. I'm running this. You haven't even done it. You haven't even made it to that level. He checked him. He checked him.
What happened is that.
Oh no! See, Joe Biden looked like he was about to have a stroke every time. And it didn't help that every time they said something about him, he put his head down. Then he looked up and confused. Then when they called him, he said he called black people super predators. That's when he was like, he showed some teeth. He was like, oh. We're talking about his son. He's like, he called them losers and suckers. And my son's not a loser and a sucker. I'm like, bro.
He had some good lines, but he couldn't get them out.
He couldn't get them out. I mean, if you listen to him, like I said before, we listen to him because we're going to report on it. Yeah. But if you're the novice person watching this, you're like, man, this man old as hell mumbling.
It was tough, man. That's
bad. I mean,
at the same time, you got the Supreme Court SCOTUS ruling on SEC severely curtails power of U.S. agencies to fine violators. The Supreme Court's right-wing supermajority ruled in a 6-3 decision that the Securities and Exchange Commission cannot use administrative law judges to assign penalties to violators, who must instead be granted a jury trial. The ruling sets a precedent that severely curtails the power of the federal government to impose fines or violations across a range of agencies. In a scathing dissent, Justice Sonia Sotomayor called the ruling a power grab that will have monumentous consequences. She wrote, the constitutionality of hundreds of statutes may now be in peril, and dozens of agencies could be stripped of their power to enforce laws enacted by the Congress.
So basically what that's saying is like the Supreme Court is like, yo, we're judge, jury, and executioner right now.
Yeah.
Everything that you want to try to implement has to go through us, and we decide it or not. They are the kings and queens right now of the judicial system.
Absolutely. I mean,
now, if you make a law saying, hey, trans children can't go to school with regular kids, or excuse me, natural children and stuff, and you take the Supreme Court is like, yep, that's right.
It's crazy because this is what they've set it up for. They've got a Supreme Court that's going to be pretty much, and they got two guys I think that are a little bit older, but even then, if you switch it around two people, what was that? It'd be 5-4 or something like that. But they got two guys who are getting older, which is Clarence Thomas and I think it's Anthony Scalia.
Scalia, the one, is it Alito or Scalia? I
can't remember right now. But at the end of the day, they have two older justices that are right-wing justices. And I think it might be Alito. It might be Alito.
I think so. He's been on the hot seat. But the whole thing is like, he's flying flags upside down in his house. Clarence Thomas is taking money from people. And you're just like, yo, this is corruption at its finest. And they're just like, but that's like most politicians. They're like, yo, resign. And like, the Democrat ones, they always want that perfect candidate that never does any wrong. Republicans are like, I don't care if you fuck little kids before you got here, as long as we keep our power.
Yeah, you got most of their justices are in their 50s. Maybe your 60s, young enough where they can sit in office for another 30 years.
Yeah.
I think they got one of them that's 40-something years old or something. I think the lady, she might be 40-something or early.
The one that's
50s.
never tried a case, the one they just put in there. Yeah.
Man, and so they're going to be sitting on the Supreme Court until they die, until they decide to leave, or most of them all die. They don't just leave office. They just die in office, in their seat.
Well, we need to put what needs to be passed, but they won't do it is because they're the ones that'll be affected, is it needs to be age limits. In politics, if you have to retire at a certain age, you have to retire at a certain age. Yeah. Case in point, look at the president.
All they're going to do then is just start getting judges who are 30 years old to be on the Supreme Court.
Cool. Get them.
A 30-year-old, but that has no real experience at all. I'm sure
the lady on there now ain't got no experience.
I understand, but I'm just saying overall, that's what
Donald Trump became president with no experience. He was on a TV show.
Yeah. Again, SCOTUS blocks EPA's Good Neighbor Plan in major blow to efforts to curb air pollution. On Thursday, Supreme Court justices voted 5-4 to block the Environmental Protections Agency's Good Neighbor Plan, which allows the EPA to regulate air pollution that drifts across state lines. In statements, Earth Justice wrote, the court's order puts thousands of lives at risk, forces downwind states to regulate their industries more tightly, and tells big polluters that it's open season for all environmental laws. And so
we're going so backwards.
It's just, this is all stuff that the Supreme Court is doing. This is things they ruled on, and right before they went out of session, they ruled on all this stuff, got it out there to everybody. But we don't really. This is why voting is so important.
We are going back. They're trying to take us back to the 40s.
They're ripping down America right now. They're the judge and jury of everything. They can tell you, okay, with the Chevron settlement, even.
Yeah.
You got that one?
Yeah. Let me pull it up right here.
It's just crazy right now.
Yeah. Republican lawmakers in U.S. Chambers of Commerce praised the Supreme Court overturning of Chevron versus Natural Resource Defense Council. The Chevron doctrine for 40 years held that judges should defer to federal agencies' interpretation of the law when a statute's language wasn't clear. The new ruling limits the power of federal agency regulators.
The SEC thing, pretty much.
It was a GOP lawmaker said 6-3 decision by the Supreme Court undid a precedent that they argued had unjustly strengthened the power of unelected government officials. They're winding. We're going back. Check it out. I'm not going back because you got, excuse my language, sir. You got me fucked up if I'm gonna live in 1950s America.
And it's where we're heading to right now. That all the rulings are being set up so that they can pretty much become a fascist government. That's what we're trying. That's what we're going towards. This is where Trump wants us to be in. That's why he didn't answer any questions about anything, because he didn't have to. No one's going to force his hand. To me, all a person had to say is this what you're voting for? A person who you can openly see is lying to you about everything. That's why he doesn't answer questions, because he's lying to you about them. He knows that what he said in the beginning, what he told you before, was a lie. And so now I can't double down on it by telling you this, because you're going to see me say it in front of everybody. It's just crazy to me, man, that we're even.
He's like, I did not have sex with a porn star, bro.
We all know you had.
We all know you had sex with a porn star. You should have been like, all right, yeah, I did it.
But you go back. I guess they'll bring up Bill Clinton. But to me,
who cares? You can bring up Bill Clinton all you want. That's cool. We knew what Bill Clinton did. Just admit it, bro. He smiled too. He was like, he smiled thinking about that nookie. Mm-hmm. There's also some stuff that's going on here in this country I want to talk about. Oklahoma school head Ryan Walters. He says teachers who won't teach the Bible could lose their license. Now, Oklahoma educator who refuses to teach students about the Bible could lose their teaching license, Superintendent of Public Instruction Ryan Walters said in an interview with NBC News on Friday. Walter issues a memo Thursday instructing all Oklahoma schools to teach students in grades 5 through 12 about the Bible's influence on the nation's founding and historical American figures. Schools will also require to stock a Bible in every class.
Jesus, man.
Crazy.
A Bible, huh?
Yeah.
And there's a people could sue for that. They should be able to sue for that.
Well, remember there was one lady that took the Bible out the school. Because the schools was invented by the Catholic Church. Anyways, let's give a little history. And there was one lady that just fought against it and got it out the school. And in these days, I mean, I don't think there should have any religion in school, but if you can have a pride flag in school, you might as well have a Bible in there.
Right.
But this is kind of
it's more of a thing about where we're heading as America to me than it is about religion or not. We're fundamentally changing the way that America is supposed to be ran to appease certain people. Like there's things we're going to touch on today that's showing like we're going far right now as America, and they're not even the majority. They're the minority in this country.
Yeah,
like by far the minority in this country. And they run everything. Now we got Oklahoma. Oklahoma is not even like over half of Oklahoma is owned by Native Americans. Do we know that? It's not owned by European Americans who brought Christianity over to Native Americans. It's owned by Native Americans by law. Most of it's all reservation land. And so what the hell are we even having this conversation?
Well, the natives on their land, they can do whatever they want. Like if you go on the natives' land and you acting crazy and they shoot you, that's on you. You shouldn't have been on their land.
What I'm saying,
but I'm saying like this, it's like no, they did that as soon as when Obama got elected, they made sure and they saw what the writing on the wall. So what they did is they put themselves in places and made laws where they can hold on to power even though they are the minority in places.
They got Trump in office. That's what did it for him. Because Obama should have had Merrick Garland as his Supreme Court justice, and we should have rolled over and it would have been 6-3.
Well, that's on all the people that voted for Bernie Sanders. And some people were like, bring Bernie back. And I'm like, no, do not. Bernie Sanders is 82 years old.
It's not just Bernie Sanders.
It's his voters.
Did not vote for Hillary.
No, the people in America voted against their best. They didn't vote at all. You voted against your best interests. Now, what happened? You lost 3 Supreme Court seats. Yeah. You lost Roe v. Wade is gone. You're about to lose more. They took away your voting. They're taking away your land. They're going to put Bibles in the school. You know what I'm saying? This is what happens. Elections have consequences. Yep. You can't sit there and bitch online about, I can't believe this is happening. We should expand the Supreme Court. No, we're not going to expand the Supreme Court because if you would have won, you wouldn't be entertaining the idea either. The whole thing people need to understand is, look, you little punk ass bitches, get out there and vote. Get out there and stand up for what you want. Because if you don't, some things are going to go bad. And some things we can't all agree on. All right.
It's like even with the homeless that we talked about in our last episode about the Supreme Court ruling on the fact of whether you can sleep outside in public.
Yeah, someone came out and said, stay awake or go to jail.
And at this point in time right now, it has been ruled upon, and it's a law now that you can no longer sleep outside in public. It's a law.
Yeah,
you can't do encampments, anything like that. It wasn't based upon homelessness on the law. I don't think it was. The Austin law was not based. It was based upon like a protest or something. But now it's across the board. This is gonna affect major cities everywhere. Where are you gonna put these people at? Where are you gonna put them?
Because the rent ain't going down.
You know what I mean? You can't house them, so you're gonna put them in jail.
Yeah, of course.
How much more is gonna cost?
Crime is down in the black communities. They gotta put somebody in them.
They got and so it just gets to the point to where there's just so many.
Them slave license plates ain't gonna make themselves.
And so that's a tough one right there. Just looking at that homeless law, like now in America, it's a crime to be homeless, man. That's
America's government and laws have made it, and the greed of corporations have made it so you can't afford to live in the country and have your own stuff. So when you fall, you're going to jail. They're going to lock everyone up. Those private prisons got to be filled up. I'm telling you, crime is down across the board.
Yeah.
And they're like, nah, we got to do something about this. That's why they're passing these laws. Imagine that. Imagine you lose your place because your job crumbles because they can't afford, and now you're homeless and you sit down on the ground, you pass out for a nap, and now you're in handcuffs.
And you're a criminal now.
But
you can't go get a job. They're gonna make sure this is on your record. You can't, man. This is.
Imagine that you can't get a job because you were homeless and you have 2 encampment charges.
This is what right-wing politics is about. Okay. Also, you got the Supreme Court rejects settlements that shielded Sackler family from opioid lawsuit. The United States Supreme Court has rejected a bankruptcy settlement that would have protected members of the Sackler family from lawsuits related to the opioid epidemic. In a 5-4 ruling, justices found that the settlement between Purdue Pharma and states, tribes, local governments violates U.S. bankruptcy laws by exempting the Sacklers from future obligations. And that's I agree with that. But you know what? They were quick to do that one though. They were quick to jump on that. You know why? Because who is this affecting?
Their
or
pockets.
Everybody else.
Corporates.
It's not even just corporate pockets. It's the people who are going to be able to sue these people.
Yeah.
We know that the opioid crisis predominantly affected people who were of European descent in this country. Period. They overwhelmingly affected everybody across the board. Let's not get it wrong. But a right-wing government coming in, a right-wing Supreme Court coming in saying this about them 5-4 ruling, it's crazy to me because I look at it like you would think that they would say, hey, they should protect the families from future lawsuits because these are rich people. They should want to protect them. But no, they're like, no, let these families go and get their retribution because a lot of their friends had issues with these. With
their friends and their family are the ones that are being affected by the drugs.
Absolutely. The Supreme Court is majorly overstepping their bounds right now. But this is what we're in for.
This is what you get what you voted for.
Ex-Uvalde school police chief indicted over botched response to 2022 mass shooting. In Texas, the former Uvalde school's police chief and another former officer have been indicted over their role in the botched response to the 2022 massacre at Robb Elementary School. Pete Arando, the former Uvalde school police chief, and Adrian Gonzalez, a former officer, were charged Thursday with multiple counts of felony child endangerment and abandonment. Arredondo, I think that's his name, was fired 3 months after the mass shooting. 376 law enforcement officers responded to the mass shooting that day, but it took 77 minutes for anyone to enter the classroom where the gunman was slaughtering children. 19 children were killed, as well as 2 teachers.
Good. Charge them. Check it out. When that went down, the cops sat outside. They could hear those kids screaming while that man shot them kids' heads off. The parents were arrested outside for trying to run inside the building to save those children. The reason the shooter was stopped because an off-duty Border Patrol agent was getting a haircut, heard about what was going on, knew his kid was in there, got a shotgun from the barber, drove there and shot and went through all the cops and shot the shooter. Fuck yeah, the cops. You should be charged. You sat out there because the kids didn't look like you. There were a bunch of little Mexican kids getting their heads blown off. You sat outside.
It looks like this police chief dude looks Mexican to me, and the other dude, I'm not trying to.
He's an American and Mexican. There's difference.
There's definitely a difference.
He's like the people that eat Chipotle because they like Mexican food, but they don't like Mexicans. No, they should be charged.
Scared, man. I feel like if you
got 20 cops outside with pistols and shotguns.
376 police officers around that building.
370, and you scared to run in there?
77 minutes. Don't get me wrong. It's hard for me to sit back and say he should be arrested because then we're going to scapegoat everyone for everything.
Hey, they arrested the doctor that Michael Jackson's doctor, and Michael Jackson injected himself.
Because he kept on giving him the drugs, though. It's different. He should not have been signing off on that. That's a different kind of. I just think that's. I'm
saying you sat outside with your whole police force.
Let me say this.
Being pussy.
So what if a teacher? So what if they say, okay, we're going to arm teachers, right?
Yeah.
And so what if a teacher is in the room, but this teacher's scared to act and doesn't act, and your kid gets killed and other kids get killed because of the active shooter, but they're like, you had a gun, you should have shot him. Is that teacher culpable for that?
Yo, if I know Miss Molly likes to do puppet shows in between class, I know she's not going to handle a gun.
But this is
different. This man is a sworn police officer. This is your whole thing. This is the reason you have that job. Somebody is in danger and needs your help, and it's actively going on. You need to run up in the building and go do it. Treat them like black people.
So what I'm saying is,
you fear for your safety, start shooting.
So basically, how he handled it, like we can't. So
you arrested the parents outside for trying to do what you were too scared to do.
What I'm saying
lock that man up.
What I'm saying is like this: how he handled. We're taking a judgment call. So what if you'd have ran up in there and like 20 officers got killed?
Oh, did they save kids?
And then another bunch of kids got killed because this kid he didn't know the situation that was going on. This is not me defending him. This is me just saying that
they had to have the parents. They had to have the parents draw blood so they can match with the kids because all their heads were blown off. Because they took so long. They sat there outside and listened to this man murder children.
So off that emotion, we should charge his other officer, and tell them, hey, you guys should have done this. You guys did it wrong. You guys should go to jail for that.
Yep.
That to me sounds crazy, man.
Now, when I go through the system, they don't give me no mercy.
That's through the system.
No.
This
This is the system.
It's like a person coming to another person's
You're
job.
at a higher stand. You're a police officer. You're at a higher stand than the rest of the community. This is your job. You're supposed anywhere else you would any other police officer in this country would have saw what was going on and ran into that building to save these children. They stood outside with other cops, told them not to go in, and arrested parents for trying to do what they were too scared to do. Lock them up.
I just don't
lock them up.
Me personally, I just don't see the value in trying to say because of what you didn't do or how you thought the situation should be handled, you should be arrested based off of that.
Hey, if I saw somebody stealing something from a store and they ran out the store and I didn't stop them, I can be charged too. Correct?
You shouldn't be able to be. Why?
But you can.
How?
But you can be charged.
I don't know if that's true or not.
Yeah, it happens.
About that.
It happens. If you see an act of a crime happening and you don't stop it,
the cool part about it,
think about it.
That's not true. That's not
you go to jail for filming the police beating up people. Why can't you arrest the cop?
Like I'm saying to you, like right now, I don't think you can be arrested for not intervening in something. But but that's what this leads to, though. At the end of the day, because now they're gonna be saying, "Well, you didn't do this." I mean, everyone's looking for someone to blame. And we're letting blame games. This is why.
And I'm going to blame. You can't blame the shooter, so you got to blame the police.
We talked about even with the with the whole entire other law they had. I think it was in Louisiana where they're talking about for rapists and stuff like that,
cutting off their dicks.
We're looking for people to blame, man, and that's not a good way to do.
Well, it's good to start blaming the people instead of blaming the guns. This gun did it. He's not a transformer, homie.
He didn't shoot anybody though.
No, of course he didn't. He didn't shoot anybody. That's why he's going to jail.
What I'm saying.
That's why he's going to jail. He stood outside and didn't shoot
that
nobody.
Crazy, man. Like, and you basically are saying that because he didn't go in there and kill and knock somebody down. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's his job. I agree with that part of it. He should have done something different. But we're all Monday morning quarterbacking the hell out of what's going on. We don't know what happened. None of us were in the building.
No, he wasn't in the building either.
There's a lot of people.
He wasn't in the building. He was outside the building, arresting parents for trying to do what he was too scared to do.
Too scared to do it. He was acting like a pussy.
He's acting like a pussy.
He was acting like a scared.
Now he gets to go in jail and be one. Go get your pussy.
You so stupid, bro, man.
I want to talk about. Chinese citizens in Florida sue and they speak out on property laws. A law restricting property owners for non-U.S. citizens and non-permanent residents from select countries have brought legal and personal challenges to Chinese prospectively home buyers. Signed into law, Governor John DeSantos, put in effective July 2023. The ban restricts citizens of foreign countries of concern from purchasing any agricultural land, a resident within residences within 5 miles of a military base, or property within 10 miles of critical infrastructures.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, that's good. We can stop there.
No, you've actually been talking about this a lot.
Yeah, I've been talking about this. It's very important.
About the farmland, especially.
Yeah, think about it, because, I mean, and it's these certain countries. So China, according to legislation, is one of the 7 foreign countries of concern affected by the property ownership restrictions, along with Russia, Iran, North Korea, Cuba, Venezuela, and Syria. Which makes sense. Foreign countries shouldn't be allowed to come into America and buy land off tops. Number 2, they shouldn't be able to buy land next to our military bases, agricultural spaces, and farmland.
Yeah, that's
true. And I've been talking about, I've said it they're destroying our country agriculturally too. They have the killer bees in here. They have the moths in New York. They have the fish that jump out the water. These are all destroying the environment.
This becomes this is capitalism. This is free market capitalism now too.
But at a certain point, it becomes national security.
It does. I mean, at some point it does. We do have national security implications. I look at China and I'm really like, on them, I'm okay with, because they don't allow us to buy. Anyone who doesn't allow it's a slippery slope, man.
Well, I mean, here in our state where I live at, like, there's a whole bunch of housing developments here, and they're like, yo, these people aren't even from America. They're coming out here, they're buying the land, cutting down all the trees. I live in a beautiful place here in Washington, cutting down all the trees, building these row houses and all these places like right off the freeway. It's just crazy.
You know that America has like the largest by far. I think it's greater than, I think we're over 50% of the world. Don't quote me on it. I have to go back and look. I saw a chart. Like, we have the largest stock market, and foreign, like, just investments in our country.
Yeah, America's for sale.
Anybody.
Yeah, America's for sale all day.
It's not even just that it's for sale. It's that this is what makes us so strong. This is why we got the largest Federal Reserve Bank, everything.
But at what cost? I mean, I've shown the map before. I've shown it to you how many Chinese people or Chinese investors own land close to bases, like really close to military installations.
I mean, and we do. How do you get around that though?
Oh, you take the land from them.
No, but when you take the land from them, now somebody else comes in and buys it.
Yeah, let an American buy it.
Okay, but how do we know that American's not linked to or doesn't have? You don't know.
Yeah, check his history on the internet.
It doesn't. I feel
you can check. I mean, everything's digital. You're not sending freaking pigeons over there sending messages no more. Anything that you put online, you make a phone call, they have it. The Patriot Act passed twice. There's no privacy here in America.
I know guys who are like, who are stock or real estate investors who get a lot of money from foreign investors who give them money. Yeah. And they go out and they buy real estate with that money. But they're American citizens. You would never look at.
Is it in their name?
It's in a corporation's name. This is all stuff you can do, man. You can create these shell companies, corporations. I mean,
they started with TikTok, the whole TikTok thing, and but this makes sense. This is a thing of national security.
Oh, absolutely. Especially by military bases and by agricultural land. It is. I mean, so do you agree with, what do you call him?
Who, John? John DeSantis?
Do you agree
DeSantis?
On this one?
I agree with that one, yes. I've been saying that before. I agree with that one. I mean, but also he's an idiot. Like, he's puts, I mean, that's a good one. You're putting people, you're putting the country over personal stuff. Yeah. But also then he just had another one where it's like, John DeSantis stops Florida beach closing amid fecal pollution warnings. And so it's Florida Governor John DeSantis has vetoed a bill that would give the state the power to close beaches if tests show water does not reach the state's health standards. He made the call this week, despite Floridians being warned against swimming due to fecal pollution just 2 months ago. If the bill had gone through, local authorities of beach water and public bathing places would have to notify the Department of Health whenever testing water was below recommendation health standards. So you're putting profit over people because he's like, hey, go swim in that poop. You'll be fine. I mean, they didn't close during COVID, so why would he close the beach now because there's poop in the water?
Yeah, I mean,
that's disgusting.
This goes back into the whole EPA, all the different things that they're talking about there. They don't really, the environment is not a Republican thing. People, middle class is not a Republican thing. Poor people, education, healthcare. I mean, I got people who I talk to. I'm like, so what laws have they passed that benefit you or that's good for the country? What? I don't know. I didn't hear him talk about one law, even going back to that he would pass or what he would do in any cases at all that would help anyone. Yeah. I didn't hear that at all. And at the same time, House of Representatives votes 269 to 144 to ban State Department from citing Gaza death tolls. In more news from the Capitol Hill, lawmakers have barred the U.S. State Department from citing death toll figures provided by the Gaza Ministry of Health. Ahead of Thursday's vote, Congress's lone Palestinian American lawmaker, Democrat Rashida Tlaib of Michigan, read into the congressional record the toll of Palestinians killed during the Israeli assault on Gaza. More than 37,000 dead, 15,000 of them children. And so, I mean, this is our House of Representatives taking the time to make a vote to say, hey, you can't talk about this in front of people. Basically, they're doing this on behalf of Israel.
Well, there's a lot of stuff going on behalf of Israel, just like I believe they killed Representative Thomas Massey's wife because she was speaking out. I don't know if you heard recently. Republican U.S. Thomas Massey's wife died Thursday, according to a post shared. Man, she died unexpectedly, and she was really outspoken about getting AIPAC out of our. He was talking about getting AIPAC out of our, government, getting these foreign influencers out of here, and somehow his wife just mysteriously died after he talked about it. Yeah,
I mean that to me is, like I say, it's hard to blame people for these type of for what happens, but at the same time, we both know that this has been a lot's been going on during this time. Our federal government is pretty much a puppet for Israel at this point in time. So this is all stuff that we need to continue to talk about. I want to bring up the fact that Bolivian army leader arrested following an apparent coup attempt. You heard about that one? I know you did.
Trending number one.
Bolivia's president says he survived an attempted military coup on Wednesday when Bolivia's former army chief deployed soldiers and tanks to government buildings, including the presidential palace in La Paz. In a dramatic showdown captured on live television, President Luis Arce directly confronted the rogue military commander, the dismissed army chief, General Juan Jose Zingan, demanding he stand down and withdraw his forces. After armored vehicles pulled back from the presidential palace, Arce addressed thousands of protesters who rallied against the attempted coup. Now, let me say this. I watched it because you can watch this online. It's there. And I don't know if we can get a clip of this up here for this one. But they're sitting there face to face Like you
I
got
saw that he was at the door
leader,
talking to him.
They're at the door. Okay, the president's complete cabinet's outside with him, and they're standing there. They got military personnel like, hey, you need to leave. They're just having a civil conversation. Now we've discussed a few coups in on our broadcast before, and none of them were had the president out front talking. Like the one in Congo, was the Republic of Congo. That didn't, they had like, they killed 50 people or something like that, didn't they? Or they brought in 50 people. They killed a bunch of them, killed the leader of the guy who was trying to, who brought the coup, who was from America. If you look at the coup that happened down in Haiti, they killed the president. They're not talking to you. If I'm a military leader and I walk up and the president's right there, this is the person I need to get rid of to kind of make who's in power go into doubt. At this point in time, I'm just going to kill him. Why would it be something where I'm going to have a conversation with you? Because the reason I'm saying this is because the army leader who came out, General Juan Jose Zuniga, whatever his name is.
You want a peaceful, I mean, if you're cooing him, you're going to talk to him because you'd be like, look, bro, we taking over. We can do this the hard way, or we can do this the hard way.
Well, okay, listen. If I'm bringing a coup and I have military personnel with me, I'm going to jail after this is over. There's nothing about this. I know I'm probably getting the death penalty. I'm dead. So if I'm going to take it this far where I'm going to try to start a coup and overthrow the government, I'm taking it all the way.
You got to kill everybody.
Yeah, off top. That's what you better do.
You can't do what they did in America and try to take over the government and then stop 3 hours later.
This general came out after he was arrested, because he got arrested after this happened. He said that the president put him up to it. This is what he came out and said. He said the president was one who told me to do it. He said he was trying to make his poll numbers, because his poll numbers were weak. He's the one who asked me to do it. That's not something that he's going to say just out the blue. That's not a very good argument.
That's kind of weird.
That's not a very good argument. You know what I mean? You're not going to use that. So when I watched it, it looked weird to me, because I'm a person who kind of critical thinker. I'm like, okay, this don't look right. If I'm the president, I'm not going to answer the door and there's military people at the door. I'm sending the troops down. I'm sending all my armed security down here to go handle that, because once they kill me, who's the next guy in charge? The vice president? They were there too, killing them, killing your cabinet. I'm the new guy here now.
That's crazy, man. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on here in the world right now. We're going to report with you guys some more. Also, we're going to start doing lives here pretty soon.
Yeah.
We're going to put that into our repertoire. Once again, thank y'all for listening. Uncommon Courtesy. Don't forget our sponsor, Crime Seed Seasoning. Doc loves the kids. We will see you guys next time.
Like, subscribe, follow the page, hit that notification button. We really need you guys to keep on following us. We appreciate all the views we've been getting. Let's keep on going strong. Let's keep on talking about what's going on around the world so we can keep you guys informed.
Yeah.
Uncommon Courtesy.